Welcome students, welcome to lecture number 26 where we will be continuing with module number 5 under subject indirect taxation. So under this particular module we have already covered introduction to customs duty, definitions, circumstances of levy of customs duty, types of duties, exemption from custom duty. Now we are seeing valuation under customs where we have to see where we have already seen valuation of imported goods, the theory part. Today we will be doing the problems on valuation of imported goods. So as I already told, today we will be covering problems on valuation of imported goods. Before moving ahead to the problems, let us understand one thing that once we calculate the assessable value as per rule number 3 or taking from rule number 4 to rule number 9, if we are calculating the transaction value or assessable value on which we have to charge the customs duty, okay, suppose if we are importing the goods from say USA, then the value at which we have to pay is dollars, correct? Now when we suppose if we are calculating the assessable value in dollars, okay, then we have to convert that dollar into Indian rupees. So there is a conversion of assessable value required. Now, when you're converting dollars into rupees, or maybe if you're importing from maybe UK pound, then it is pounds. And then you have to convert pounds into rupees. So there is some exchange rate required for the conversion of assessable value. Correct? Now, which exchange rate are you going to consider? So in this particular slide, we will be seeing which exchange rate we are required to consider, whether the exchange rate that the bank charges you, whether which is there in the forex exchange, or whether one which is notified by Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. So students, the conversion of assessable value is always done at an exchange rate that is notified by CBIC. When I say CBIC, it is nothing but Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. They will notify an exchange rate and you have to adopt that exchange rate when you're calculating the assessable value and when we are going to compute the customs duty. So for calculating the assessable value, the exchange rate as notified by CBIC is to be considered. So what is the full form of CBIC? Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. Okay, so this is a very important part when we solve the problems. So in the problems, they can give you exchange rate by banks, exchange rate by other forex currency. Uh, Otherwise, they can give you a exchange rate by as notified by CBIC. Then you have to be very careful. You have to take only that exchange rate, okay, which is notified by CBIC. Next, rate of BCD. As I already told you, rates are mentioned under the first schedule of the Tariff Act, okay, 1975. We've seen that there is a Customs Act and there is a Tariff Act. Now, Tariff Act will tell you about the rates. Now, see, students, rates keep on changing. Basically, rates keep on changing. Like sometimes it can be 10%, 14%, it can be 5%, 12%. Then, what rate you are supposed to consider? Suppose when you are importing the goods, the rate is different. Once the goods reach the mass land of India, the rate is different. And when the same goods are, when you submit the bill of entry, the rate is different. So in such case, what is the rate of BCD that you're supposed to consider? That is when you have to calculate the basic customs duty. Which rate will you apply? When you're ordering the goods, that rate, or when the goods are being imported, that date, or when the goods reach the mass land of India, which rate is to be considered? So this is again very, very important from the problem point of view, because in exam they may give you 2-3 rates and then you have to identify which rate are you supposed to apply in order to calculate basic customs duty on the assessable value or the transaction value. So see here students, basic customs duty under section 12, which we have already seen. What is basic custom duty? First you have to see the rate of duty. The rate of duty at the time of submission of bill of entry. When you are submitting the bill of entry, what is the rate of duty? and rate of duty at the time of entry inward granted to the vessel. There can be, first you have to compare the two time period. One is when is the bill of entry submitted and when was the entry inward granted to the vessel. See, no vessel will be allowed to reach the Indian port unless and until a clearance or a inward signal is not given by the officer to the concerned person in the transport, like in the ship. Okay, there has to be a signal given for the ship to enter the Indian port. Correct. So what you have to check two things, whichever date is later, okay, that date you have to take the rate applicable on that date. Suppose bill of entry submitted later, then you have to take the rate applicable on the date of bill of entry. Or suppose if the entry inward is granted to the vessel, so the date on which the entry inward is granted to the vessel, what was the rate on that date? Whichever date is falling later, later means last, not earlier. Whichever date is falling last, that rate of BCD will be applicable on the assessable value. So whatever assessable value you are calculating, which rate you will take? The rate, okay, of duty at the time of submitting the bill of entry, or at that time when it is got in entry inward is granted to the vessel, whichever is later, that date, whatever rate is applicable, you will take that rate as the rate on BCD. So this was the two important things which you need to know before solving the problems. Now let us move ahead in solving the problems on valuation of imported goods. We have already studied how to value, what is the valuation in case of imported goods, that is FAS, FOB, CIF. Correct. Then we have seen different rules, how to apply those rules. So now we will be dealing with the practical part of the theory that we already covered in our previous lecture. Okay, students. So is this particular screen clear to everyone? Yes, students? Okay. So problem
Yes,
number
ma'am.
one. Yeah. So let us begin solving problem number one. From the particulars given below, find out the assessable value of imported goods under Customs Act 1962. So here they are only asking to the assessable value. Correct. Now, based on the information that they're giving, let us see how to calculate the assessable value. So number one is cost of machine at the factory of the exporting country is 10,000. So students, suppose if someone is importing goods from you, they have not given the country, so it is the exporting country and India is the importing country. So cost of machine at the factory of exporting country. Can anyone tell me what this stands for? We have seen FAS. We have seen the calculation of FAS, right? So FAS is nothing but X factory cost. Now, should this be included in calculating the assessable value, students? Yes.
Ma'am.
Yes, student. Yes, students.
Yes, ma'am. It should be included in
It should be
calculation the
included
FAS.
because it is the very good. It should be included because it is the X factory cost at the factory gate of the exporter. Okay, we don't know the name of the exporter, exporting country, nothing is given. Okay, next, transport charges incurred by the exporter from his factory to the port for shipment. Now, X factory price is $10,000. Here it is given in dollars. Okay, that means it may be USA. Now, transport charges incurred by the exporter from his factory to the port for shipment. Should this be included in calculating the assessable value? Yes,
Yes,
students?
ma'am.
Yes. So it is 500 rupees. Okay. Sorry, $500. Next, handling charges paid for loading the machine in the ship. It is 50. So now handling charges are paid for loading the machine in the ship. It is 50. So should this 50 be included? Yes. This is loading charges in short. Loading charges, should it be included 50?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
students. Before solving the problem, let just me ask you all, what is FAS? Can anyone tell me what is FAS? Yes. What does FAS stands for? Free alongside, means all those expenses incurred by the exporter, okay, in respect of exported goods from his factory up to the goods reach the custom port. Correct? So what all are the expenses? It can be the ex factory cost, it can be local insurance, it can be local transportation cost, okay, it can be unloading charges. Is it clear? So this is FAS. What is FOB? FOB means FAS plus the loading charges. The loading charges, like loading charges means from the port, the goods are to be loaded into the ship plus the export duty if paid any by the exporter. Okay. So handling charges. Will it come in FAS or FOB, students? Yes. Can anyone tell me handling charges paid for loading the machine in the ship, whether it comes in FAS or FOB calculation?
FOB.
Ma'am, FOB.
FOB.
FOB. Very good. So in total, when we total this 10,550, the total becomes your FOB. See, 10,500, this becomes your FAS. To this FAS, when you add this 50, it becomes FOB. Correct? Now, next, buying commission paid by the importer. Now, yesterday we seen rule number 10, sub rule 1, where we saw that when the importer is incurring any expense in the form of commission or brokerage, it should be added. Exception buying commission. So tell me, students, should buying commission accessible value to the FOB paid by the importer? Should buying commission be added? Do you all remember yesterday's rule that we have done? Rule number 10, sub rule 1. Yes, students, where they said that all types of commission and brokerage, if paid by the importer, has to be added in calculating the accessible value, exception buying commission. So can you all tell me now, this buying commission of $50, should it be added to the accessible value or should it be
No, ma'am.
added? No. Okay, next, freight charges from exporting country to India. That means from USA to India, when through vessel or through ship, when the goods are coming, so the transportation is required to move the goods from USA to India. So whatever freight or transportation charges are there, should it be added in calculating the accessible value? Yes, students. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
students.
it should be added.
It should be.
It should be added,
Should
ma'am.
it be
Added,
added?
ma'am.
It should. Okay. Now, will it be a part of FAS? Will it be a part of FOB or will it be a part of CIF?
And CIF.
It will be a part of CIF. Very good. Now, exchange rate to be considered in this particular problem, they have told that $1 you take as rupees 65. Okay, that we will do later. First, let us calculate everything in dollars. Now, is insurance given here, students? Insurance charges, I'm talking from exporting country to India. Is that insurance charges given? Is insurance charge given in the problem? Yes, students.
No, ma'am.
No, when then I have also explained you all. Suppose when insurance charges is not given, what is the insurance charge that you're going to consider? So when insurance charge is unknown, when insurance cost is unknown, you're going to take 1.125% of FOB as your insurance cost, right? So now let us solve the problem based on the explanation that we did in respect of the problem. So statement showing the assessable value of imported goods. So first you have to you can show the format uh, in any you can show the solution in any form you want. Okay, so serial number, particulars, value, US dollars, and your workings. So cost of machine at the factory of the exporting country is 10,000. Again, I'm taking it in dollars. Then transport charges incurred by the exporter from his factory to the port for shipment 500. Now when you add this two, it becomes FAS. Okay. Then handling charges paid for loading the machine in the ship is 50. So total FOB value of exporter is $10,550. Next, you can write buying commission paid by the importer. It no, you have to not add the buying commission. So in working, you can write not addable into the assessable value. See students, the format totally depends on you all how you want to present your answer. Either one suggestion I give you all, write this as it is here, write all these elements as it is here. If it is to be included, please include. If it is to be excluded in your workings, you can give the reason why it is to be excluded. So you can write as per rule 10 sub rule 1, okay, clause A, the commission paid by the importer is to be included but excluding buying commission. So since this is buying commission, it is not added in the value. Okay, next is next uh, to this FOB, when you add cost of insurance and freight charges, you get CIF, correct? Now, cost of insurance is not known in the problem. Therefore, you're going to take cost of insurance at the rate of 1.125% on FOB. So 1.125% on FOB is nothing but 118.68. Okay, you can round it off. Next, freight charges from exporting country to India. So the freight charges from exporting to country to India is 1,000. So you take $1,000. So you get total CIF value as 11,668. Okay, 0.6875. You can again round it off. Okay, now this assessable value, what you have got is in US dollars. You have to convert this US dollars into Indian rupees. So one US dollar is 65. So 11,668 into 65 will give you the value in rupees. Therefore, the assessable value in Indian rupees will be 65 into 11,668.6875. So you get the assessable value in Indian rupees as 7,58,465. Is this problem clear to everyone, students? Yes, students? Yes? Yes,
Yes,
is
ma'am.
this problem clear? Okay, now let us move ahead to the next problem. Problem number 2. XYZ Industries has imported certain equipment from Japan at an FOB cost of 2 lakh yen. Okay, so already directly FOB is given, that is 2 lakh yen. That is Japanese currency. The other expenses incurred by XYZ Industries in this connection are as follows. Okay, now we'll go by step and we will ascertain whether it has to be added or excluded from the transaction value. Now, freight from Japan to Indian port 20,000 yen. Can anyone tell me whether this has to be included, and if yes, whether it will come under the heading of FOB, FAS or CIF? Yes?
Ma'am, should be included in CIF.
Very good. So 20,000 yen we are going to include in CIF. Okay. Next. First, we'll just discuss the problem and then we will go to the solution. Now, insurance paid rupees 10,000. So again, it is from since they have not mentioned it is local insurance anywhere, they have not mentioned the word local insurance, so we consider this insurance to be insurance charges from bringing the goods from Japan to Indian port. Okay, since the word local insurance is not given, therefore we consider this insurance to be insurance from the Japan to Indian port. So can anyone tell me insurance paid 10,000, should it be added? And if yes, under which heading will you add it? Will you add it under FOB, FAS or CIF?
It should be added in CIF.
Okay, very good. Next, designing charges. Okay, designing charges paid to consultancy firm in Japan, that is the 30,000 yen. Now see, this all expenses are incurred by whom? By XYZ Industries. Okay, so XYZ Industries is paying designing charges to consultancy firm in Japan. So as per rule 10, sub rule 1, if you have seen the E point which we discussed yesterday, it means any payment made, okay, to the seller of the exporting country or to any third person, okay, in relation of the goods that are imported. So this equipment what has been imported, that designing charges is paid to some consultancy firm in Japan, means to some third person in Japan, but it is paid by the buyer. So as per rule 10 sub rule 1, okay, or clause E, should this be added? Yes, students. Because see here, the other expenses incurred by XYZ industry. So this is incurred by the buyer. Buyer is incurring this for the seller. Okay, designing charges of that equipment is being borne by whom? By the buyer. And who's the buyer? That is the importer, XYZ Industries. So should this be added? Yes, students? Yes. In my yesterday's lecture, I have told you all that under Rule 10, Sub Rule 1, we have seen totally 5 points that have to be added in the assessable value if they are incurred by the buyer. So, one among that was any charges, okay, or any payment made by the buyer, okay, which is directly or indirectly related to the imported goods, that has to be added. So, can anyone tell me, should this 30,000 yen be added or no? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So this 30,000 yen, we are going to add it. Very good. Next. Again, XYZ Industries has expended. When I say expended means it has made a payment or expenditure of 1 lakh in India for certain development activities with respect to the imported goods. Now what has happened? Once the goods or equipment is imported into India, after importation, that is post importation expenses, it has spended like it has incurred 1 lakh rupees expenditure for that equipment. Now, common sense students, should this be included in calculating the customs duty? This is not pre-importation expenses. This is post. Once the equipment is received by XYZ Industries, he is making an expenditure of 1 lakh for certain development activities on that particular machinery. So just tell me students, should this 1 lakh be included in calculating the customs duty? Yes, this is
No, ma'am.
afterwards. This is very good. Did you all understand the logic why? Because it is post importation where there is no benefit flowing to whom? To the exporter. So this should not be included. Next. XYZ Industries had incurred road transport cost from Mumbai port to their factory in Karnataka for 30,000 rupees. Once the goods have reached the Indian port, okay, and it is cleared, customs duties paid, whatever is cleared, from that Indian port to their factory, they are paying some local transport. Should that be included in calculating the assessable value for valuing the customs duty? Yes, students? Yes. students, common sense, just once again I'm repeating, if the goods have reached the Indian port, that is the Mumbai port, okay, when are you supposed to pay customs duty? Before clearing from that port. Now after it is cleared from the port, to take the goods up to your factory, you're paying transportation cost. Okay, road transportation cost. Now that freight charges should it be included in the assessable value to calculate your customs duty? Yes, students.
No, ma'am.
Yes or no? It is a
No, ma'am.
post import. Okay, so what is the reason for not including it?
Ma'am, the duty should be, all the expense should be included until the goods is cleared by the
Cleared.
clearance officer, ma'am, at the
Very good.
custom.
Very good. Yes, so you're absolutely right. So it is a post importation expenses. So you have to not include it. Okay. Now, see students, the theory part of this I've already covered. That is the reason I'm discussing and making it an interactive session. Otherwise, I'll just simply explain it and then you'll just see how to solve it. But when you try to, relate that theory to this practical part, then it becomes easy for solving it. Okay, let us move ahead. The Central Board of Excise and Customs has notified for the purpose of Section 14, subsection 3 of the Customs Act 1962 that exchange rate of 1 yen is 0.3948 rupees. Okay, the interbank rate is 1 yen is equals to 0.40. XYZ Industries had effected the payment to the bank based on 1 yen is equals to 0.4150. Now, students, there are three exchange rates given to you all. Which exchange rate will you consider, okay, for solving this problem? One is given by the CBIC, that is 0.3948. One is the interbank exchange rate, that is 0.40. And one is which actual payment he's made through the bank, which had an exchange rate of 0.4150. So what is the exchange rate that will be considered for this particular importation? Yes, students.
Ma'am, CBIC rate.
Ma'am,
So what is
CBSE
this?
rate.
So 1 yen is equals to 0.3948. So remember this rate we are going to use when we are going to convert the assessable value into the um, into Indian rupees. Next, the commission payable to the agent in India was 5% of FOB cost of the equipment in Indian rupees. Okay, arrive at the assessable value for the purpose of customs duty under the Customs Act. Okay, so they are telling how to find out the assessable value. So this commission payable, okay, now all these expenses are incurred by XYZ Industries. So tell me the commission payable to an agent in India was 5% of FOB cost of equipment in Indian rupees. Should it be added or what should be done with this 5%, this commission? Is it a buying commission? As per Rule 10, Sub-Rule 1, Clause A, all the commissions and brokerage should be included, exception buying commission. So can you all tell me this 5% of FOB, which is the commission payable, should it be added or ignored? Yes, students?
Ma'am, added, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now let us go to the solution. So based on whatever we have discussed, we'll just put it in the form of solution. So statement showing computation of assessable value of the imported goods. Now FOB is directly given 2 lakh yen. Okay. Next, designing charges. Designing charges is 30,000, which is directly given here. That is also in yen. Development charges is not addable into the assessable value because these are post shipment expenses. Road transport charges not addable into the assessable value because they are post shipment expenses. Commission, they have given 5% on FOB cost. Now students, 2 lakh is the FOB, okay, 5% of 2 lakh is 10,000 yen. So you're going to write your 10,000 yen. So total FOB value of the customs will come to 2 lakh 40,000. Okay. So when you add this all, it comes to 2 lakh 40,000. Now, students, here either at FOB you can convert it. Students, pay attention. Either at FOB you convert it. Why here we are converting the value in Indian rupees at this stage? Because if you observe here, the second point, insurance paid is in rupees 10,000. So it is in rupees 10,000, students. So to the FOB, when you add your insurance and freight, you get CIF. Now, if insurance and freight both were given in yen, suppose if both were given in yen, then you would convert your assessable value at this stage, at the last stage. But since insurance is given in rupees, what you will do before the calculation of CIF, that is, this is total FOB value. FOB you're converting into yen, FOB value you're converting into rupees. And the conversion rate, as you all told me, is 1 yen is nothing but 0.3948. So you're going to convert your 2,40,000, which is a total FOB value you have got in yen, into the rupees. Why you're converting into rupees? See, suppose students, if insurance and freight were given in yen, then your total assessable value would be in yen, and at this assessable value you would have done conversion from yen to rupees. But since insurance is given in rupees, now, is it possible you take this as yen, this in rupees, and this again in yen, and then the calculation will go wrong. So you have to bring everything under uh, one category, either yen or either rupees. So you're going to convert this 2,40,000 which is there in yen into rupees, which you get it as 94,752, because you have converted 2,40,000 into 0.3948. That is the exchange rate. Now, to this FOB, which is in rupees, now see, you have to add, if you have considered yen, add everything in yen. If you have considered in rupees, add everything in rupees. So now this is in yen, this is in rupees. Therefore, insurance also you will add it in rupees, freight also you will add it in rupees. Then assessable value what you get will automatically be in rupees. No conversion is required. So insurance is directly given here 10,000, students. So I take this value as 10,000 rupees. Next, freight. Now freight here is given is 20,000 yen. If you pay attention to this sentence, freight from Japan to India port is 20,000 yen. Now can I take this yen here? No. Why? Because what will happen is there will be no, the calculation will go wrong. So you have to take everything in the same denomination. So this 20,000 is in yen. So you're going to convert this 20,000 into rupees first. So 1 yen is nothing but 0.3948 rupees. So convert this 20,000 yen into rupees. So it is 20,000 into 0.3948. So you got the value in rupees as 7,896. So when you add FOB plus insurance plus freight, you get the total assessable value or total CIF value, which is 1,12,648, which is in rupees. Again, you don't sit doing the conversion. It is already in rupees, because at the stage of FOB only you have converted the FOB value of yen into rupees. So this CIF you got it as 1,12,648 in rupees. So is this entire problem clear to everyone? Yes, students? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can anyone tell me now, why did I convert this FOB? Why did I do the conversion in the FOB stage itself? Yes.
And because the next item in CIF, one item insurance that was given in Indian rupees.
So whatever
So
you're at, yeah, tell me.
yes, ma'am. For that reason, entire FOB value will be converted into Indian rupees. So the next step will be there will not be any conversion later.
Correct. So, students, the very important part, or you'll have to be very careful while solving the problem given in exam is they will confuse you. One item they will give you in rupees, the other item they will give you in the exporting country's currency. That is, suppose if in this problem it is Japan yen. So what you will do, like if you don't read the problem correctly, you would consider this as yen, this also as yen, and this as yen, and you would do the calculation which would go wrong. So pay attention to the figures that I've given. Okay, see whether it is in rupees or yen, and when you're calculating, either calculate everything in yen or you want to convert into rupees, take the exchange rate that is notified by CBIC and do the conversion. Is this problem clear to everyone? Yes? Yes, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Problem number 3, I don't think so we will be able to complete it by 11. So we will solve this particular problem in our next class. Okay? So thank you so much, students. We are done for the session for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.